You're listening to The Wells Report, which will return in 1 minute. The Wells Report returns in 30 seconds. North to south, coast to coast, around the world, this is The Wells Report. On this broadcast, we report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We de-propagandize the mainstream media. We do make commentary. Commentary is not news. We differentiate between news and commentary on this broadcast. You know when I'm telling you what I think about the news and what I have reported of the news. We also invite debate. Just because I say it doesn't mean that that's the way it is, to paraphrase Walter Cronkite. No, my opinion and your opinion are equal in value. Let's share them. Let's move the ball forward. Let's find truth together here on the Wells Report. News analysis, commentary, and debate. And good morning. It is Tuesday, August 27th, year of our Lord, 2024. Interesting news. It's about 3 years too late. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg has admitted in a letter that was published yesterday that his company Facebook was pressured by the Biden-Harris administration to censor Americans, particularly regarding COVID-19. Zuckerberg made the admission in a letter to the House Judiciary Committee and the chairman, Jim Jordan, the Republican from Ohio, more than a year after providing the committee with thousands of documents as part of its investigation into content moderation on online platforms. This from Fox Business News. Along with the documents, the Meta CEO said the company has provided a dozen employees to be available for transcribed interviews, stressing that indeed Meta has cooperated with the investigation. Quote, "There's a lot of talk right now about how the U.S. government interacts with companies like Meta, and I want to be clear about our position," said Zuckerberg. "Our platforms are for everyone. We're about promoting speech and helping people connect in a safe and secure way. As part of this, we regularly hear from governments around the world and others with various concerns around public discourse and public safety." He told Chairman Jordan that in 2021, senior officials from the Biden administration and the White House, quote, "repeatedly pressured our teams for months to censor certain COVID-19 content, including humor and satire," unquote. When Facebook did not agree with that censorship, the Biden administration expressed frustration. Quote, "Ultimately, it was our decision whether or not to take content down. We own our decisions, including COVID-19 related changes we made to our enforcement in the wake of this pressure. I believe the government pressure was wrong. I regret we were not more outspoken about it. I also think that we made some choices that, with the benefit of hindsight and new information, we wouldn't make today. Like I said, our teams at the time, I feel strongly we should not compromise our content standards to pressure from any administration in either direction. And we're ready to push back if something like this happens." A White House spokesman responded to Fox News, quote, "When confronted with a deadly pandemic, this administration encouraged responsible actions to protect public health and safety. Our position has been clear and consistent. We believe tech companies and other private actors should take into account the effects their actions have on the American people while making independent choices about the information they present." That is dishonest. That's simply dishonest. What they did was impose government censorship on the United States citizens through Facebook, YouTube, X, Facebook. I think I said Facebook twice. Anyway, the simple case of the matter is that even this broadcast, a broadcast that for the most part reports news from the major networks and the major news sources around the nation, somehow was providing disinformation. We were not. We were not. I pointed that out to Facebook, YouTube, and before Elon Musk took over X, or Twitter at the time. I pointed that out and they said, we turned back every single attempt to censor except one. And that was from YouTube when I played a very important piece of information from 60 Minutes regarding the border of the United States with Mexico. I played it. I knew I was violating their copyright infringement laws when I did it, but it was more important to report it than it was to simply just ignore it. But censorship did occur. And this mea culpa may be very nice. And it may be something that a lot of us go, well, yeah, okay, so they finally owned it. But it affected the 2020 election. And by the way, it wasn't just COVID that they were dealing with. The committee first subpoenaed Meta for documents and information on February 15th, 2023, related to content moderation and Meta's engagements with the executive branch to censor speech. At the time, the company was investigating whether and to what extent the executive branch pressured or worked with private companies to stifle or tamp down certain kinds of speech at the request of the government, including Hunter Biden's laptop. In the Monday letter, Zuckerberg also wrote about throttling down the Hunter Biden laptop story. He wrote the FBI warned the company about, quote, a potential Russian disinformation operation, unquote, regarding the Biden family and Burisma leading up to the 2020 election. Zuckerberg said in a New York Post story that fall reported on the New York Post story that fall, reporting on campaign corruption allegations involving Biden's family. So they had fact checkers review the story and temporarily demoted it while waiting for a reply. Quote, it's since been made clear the reporting was not Russian disinformation, and in retrospect, we should not have demoted the story. We changed our policies and processes to make sure this doesn't happen again. For instance, we no longer temporarily demote things in the U.S. while we are fact checking. I'm sorry. That's not good enough. Again, this affected the results of the 2020 election. Many voters said that had they known that the Hunter Biden laptop story was real, they would have changed their vote. This was election interference. It was caused by the government of the United States. Mark Zuckerberg, after indulging the Democrat Party with $400 million worth of campaign contributions, now says, oops. Now, are there laws in place to hold Facebook accountable for American citizen censorship? The answer is no. No. But there used to be rules and regulations from the United States government that indeed required news organizations and free speech outlets to provide exactly that, truthful news and free speech. There were mandates as to you had to have somebody from the other side discuss their point of view as well. You had to differentiate between reporting the news and reporting what you think about the news. And those don't exist because, technically, Facebook, YouTube, X, all of these organizations are not public free speech outlets. Elon Musk spent $44 billion to take Twitter away from Jack Dorsey and to provide free speech on the platform, which reigns to this very day. And it's good. There are a lot of people that post things that really annoy me. And I'm sure that I post things that really annoy a lot of people. But that is free speech. That is freedom. Without free speech, there is none. With media coercion or being the subjects of coercion, they become propaganda outlets, and we've seen that. We've also seen that big tech knuckled under to pressure from the United States government to censor what is a free speech outlet, at least in effect, if not in actual fact. That fact being mandated by American law. These people, during the 2020 election and shortly thereafter, decided what truth was. And it was wrong. when you start going back to the pressure being put on Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook and the other social media platforms by the United States government about COVID-19, the government was wrong about COVID-19. What they did is essentially coerce everyone in the United States to take a vaccine that is mainly effectless. It's ineffective. The question remains, is it even safe? There are a lot of people that say, well, loved ones died because they took those shots. I'm not sure. There are people who say, my loved one was crippled by those shots. Again, I'm not sure, but I do know that a dear friend of mine named Dennis was hit with a massive stroke after he had that shot. Anecdotal, not provable. But in a world of censorship and in a world where investigations are quelled or not even undertaken at all, how do we know that these injections were safe enough to actually take? We know they were ineffective. I know personally. I took 3 of them. I took the original series in a booster and got COVID twice. What did they inject into me? There are a lot of conspiracy theories about that too. And the thing about that is I'm not sure that those conspiracy theories are actually theories. And that uncertainty is not something that we, the people of the United States, must deal with from our government. Did the government have to do something when this novel SARS-CoV-2 virus hit this nation? Yes. Did they have to move quickly? Yes. Did they have to remove some of the guardrails, to use the term of art today, that provided safe and effective drugs to the people of the United States? Yes. Did they indeed pass law to hold all of these pharmaceutical companies who develop these shots harmless or held innocent from any effects that any poor effects that these vaccinations may indeed inflict on the people of the United States? Yes. And in my view, my opinion, that was the greatest flaw, if not crime, the U.S. government foisted on the American people. It's one thing to mandate that everybody take an injection. That's one thing. But to then mandate that everyone take an injection and then hold the people preparing those injections harmless from ill effects, you don't get it both ways. You don't. And that coercion turned into censorship and turned into a violation of the United States Constitution's First Amendment for millions of Americans. That censorship likely affected, certainly interfered with the 2020 election. All of these things are real. I know I'm speaking on the opinion camera as opposed to the news camera. The news camera. But let me explain something to you. This is the news. Mark Zuckerberg comes up with a letter after the 2020 election and after the Biden administration has done what it's done. Has it been all horrible and so on? No. Have these people governed the way they thought they should? Or, more accurately, have these people governed the way other people thought they should? Yes. Is America still working? Yes. Is it working the way everybody wants? Well, we're going to find out in just a few months, just a couple of months, whether people believe what has happened was good for the nation or bad. But those people who deal with the idea that what happened to this nation being bad and thus caused them discomfort or financial ruin or anything else, especially where COVID is concerned, what have they suffered? Who will be held accountable for their suffering? Well, maybe the people of the United States will indeed hold those people accountable. I'm not sure they will. And maybe that accountability is not something the American people want. I will trust those votes. This is the Wells Report. I am John David Wells. Telephone number 817-379-2172. What do you think?
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Good morning. This is the Wells Report. Thanks for being with us today. Yesterday was National Dog Day, and I extolled the virtues of my Rottweiler and showed you some funny pictures of Rottweilers doing funny things because they truly are the funniest dogs in the history of canines. But there are other dogs, and perhaps you should know about this one. So take a look at this as we roll through this Tuesday morning. And you carry him around like a briefcase. That is a British dog, if you will. The United Kingdom has provided the Ukrainian army with robot war dogs that have started to assist troops on the battlefield and terrifying Russian troops who see them, according to reports. Why are these Russian troops so fearful of these dogs? Well, because every now and then the dogs kill them, slaughter them in place. And how do you kill a robot dog? With great difficulty. Yeah, robots killing people. More about that coming up in just a couple of moments. The robot dog has demonstrated its capabilities in delivering a range of critical equipment, including Claymore mines, I suppose, showcasing its potential as an invaluable military asset to military units. This according to the manufacturer, Brit Alliance. The robot dog exhibited exceptional mobility and agility, crucial for traversing complex and hostile environments. Whether navigating through debris, climbing over obstacles, moving stealthily across open ground, the robot dog has proven itself capable of maintaining a high level of operational effectiveness. The second generation Brit Alliance dog, BAD 2, has taken to the battlefield using remote sensing technology and a thermal infrared camera to navigate the tricky landscape and to perform a wide range of wartime tasks, such as delivering equipment or reconnaissance or slaughtering somebody that has been rendered defenseless by the dog's defensive capability. So, back at the end of World War II, we allowed our technology to overwhelm our law and our good sense. That was with nuclear weapons. We damn near destroyed ourselves with those weapons. And who knows? We may still yet do it. But the point is that our technology overwhelmed our capability of understanding the weapons we create. And we've done it again. It won't be long until these AI-powered robots are making their own decisions about who lives and dies on a battlefield. That is something that must be treated with a hard stop. A human being using a weapon on another human being is, unfortunately, war. But an indefensible robot killing human beings, that is a crime against humanity. I call on the entire world to ban uses of robots that are capable of killing. Certainly, robots that are capable of killing autonomously. We don't need to teach AI machines how to kill us. And we need to stop it right this minute. And we need to hang the people that proceed with this research anyway. That's what we have to do. It's sort of like, I don't know, a bunch of guys getting together and trying to figure out how to come up with a virus that will kill more people. Yeah, that's a crime against humanity. It is thus with AI-powered robots. Don't you think? This is the Wells Report. We'll be back in just a moment.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. The campaign for president rolls on, and it's getting interesting. What's interesting, you might ask? Well, in my opinion, what's interesting is how many people who are Republicans are supporting Kamala Harris, and how many Democrats are supporting Donald Trump. That's what's interesting. And when you live in a divided country, those of us who have been watching this, and I've been doing this for almost 24 years. As a matter of fact, the 24th anniversary of this broadcast is coming up on a very sad day called 9/11. That's next month. So what exactly is going on lately, you might ask? Well, the mixing, I almost forgot what I was going to say, the mixing of Americans is maybe healing some of this division, don't you think? As these two sides choose other people. Notable Democrats supporting Trump, notable Republicans supporting Harris. as America is defining not just the political parties they're a part of, but also disagreeing with many of those party precepts. That's not a bad thing. No, I see that as a good thing. So yeah, an interesting campaign, no? So Jon Tester is running for his political life. He is the senator, one of the senators of Montana. He has announced he will not be making an endorsement in the presidential election where Vice President Kamala Harris is running as the Democrat nominee, despite reportedly playing a role in her recruitment to the United States Senate. This being reported by Fox News. There's bias. Tester previously served as chair of the Democrat Senatorial Campaign Committee. That's the committee that works to try to get people into the Senate that they think will be good for the party. And he did that from 2015 to 2017, leading efforts of the campaign arm to elect Democrats to the chamber when Harris first announced her senatorial aspirations. After Harris launched her California Senate bid, the Los Angeles Times reported in 2015, in January, that according to an advisor, Tester was one of the players encouraging her to run. Despite his previous support for Harris, Tester said he will not be making an endorsement in this year's race because he will be focusing on his own re-election bid. I'm not going to endorse for the presidency, and I'll tell you why, Tester said during a recent press conference in Hamilton, Montana. 2 reasons. Number 1, I'm focused on my race. And number 2, folks have wanted to nationalize this race. This isn't about national politics. This is about Montana. Is it really, sir? Tester endorsed Harris for vice president after he was tapped as President Biden's running mate in 2020. This was the X quote at the time, or the X post at the time. Quote, my friend at Kamala Harris is a proven fighter and an excellent pick for vice president. As VP, I'm confident she will continue to fight for working families across this country. Looking forward to supporting her and Joe Biden in November. He wrote that in August of 2020 on X. Well, that is not happening this time. The senator has remained distant from the Democrat ticket for several months as he seeks re-election in a state formerly held by President Trump, or the one that President Trump won by 16 points in the 2020 election. Quote, no matter who is in the White House, Jon Tester always does what's right for Montana. That's why Jon has consistently stood up to the Biden-Harris administration on issues like securing the border and protecting Montanans from burdensome energy regulations. And it's why President Trump signed more than 20 of his bills into law. So says Monica Robinson, spokesperson for Montanans for Tester, speaking to Fox News. Jon's strong record of defending Montana is why Republicans from across the state, from elected officials to business owners to Trump voters, endorsed Jon in this campaign for Senate. The Montana Democrat was one of the first senators to call on Biden to drop out of the 2024 race in July. He's also one of 3 vulnerable Senate Democrats who did not attend the Democrat National Convention, where Harris was officially accepted as the party's nominee. Tester faces opposition from one of the most crucial Senate races of 2024 from former Navy SEAL Tim Sheehy, who said, quote, Jon Tester skipping Kamala Harris' DNC coronation will not hide the fact that he launched her political career by recruiting her to the United States Senate and votes with her and her radical agenda 95% of the time. Jon Tester, Kamala Harris, and Tim Walz are all loyal American last Democrats who support open borders, amnesty and checks for illegal immigration, higher taxes, and green new scam energy policies that Montana will reject in November, said Sheehy. Come November, Montanans will help send President Trump back to the White House and put an end to the insanity of the disastrous Harris-Tester agenda for good. The Cook Political Report, a top nonpartisan political handicapper, currently positions Tester's race as a toss-up. So there's also this. Vice President Kamala Harris, also from Fox News, biased. Vice President Kamala Harris's rise to the top of the Democrat ticket has generated momentum in the polls for the party, but some experts are not convinced by her new leads. Quote, if the polling errors are anywhere close to what they were in 2016 and 2020, then Trump is the lead right now, said Democrat strategist Julian Epstein, speaking to Fox News. The comment came as Real Clear Politics and their polling average shows Harris within a slim 1.5% lead over former President Donald Trump nationally, a significant shift from the 3-point lead that Trump held over Biden in the days before the president dropped out of the race. But the Harris lead is also a much smaller gap than Trump faced in the same time in 2016 and 2020, when the Republican nominee trailed former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton by 6 points and Biden by 7.1 points. James Carville has said that President Trump chronically underpolls in these surveys, and he's correct. He absolutely is. Why? No one knows. While Trump won in 2016, failed to win re-election in 2020 with 74 million votes, the former president greatly outperformed his polling numbers in 2 close elections, a fact that is not lost on Democrats heading into the stretch run of 2024. According to a report from Politico last week, recent polls conducted by Democrat firms showed that Harris is in the lead. It also contains warning signs, including leads for Trump in characteristics more likely to sway voters. Harris also essentially tied with Trump across the battleground states, the polls show, meaning the vice president is underperforming her national numbers in states set to decide the election. So, on this particular case, you got to keep in mind that, one, this is a biased report. Just as the polls themselves, I believe, are biased, so is the reporting of them. CNN extols the virtues of Kamala Harris's polling, but Fox News says, And so what does it mean? It means whatever you think it means. And whatever that is, fine with me. Then there was this. Senator Cotton, Tom Cotton of Missouri, is someone who has been in a very well-spoken way, pushing back on the media for their coverage of Vice President Harris. Senator Tom Cotton, he's not from Missouri, he's from Arkansas, pushed back against ABC News' Jonathan Karl after he dismissed Vice President Kamala Harris's past commitment to abolish private health insurance in a heated on-air exchange on Sunday on This Week. And it was a very good conversation. And whatever you think about Tom Cotton, the man is impressive. So he's sitting there with Jonathan Karl. And Jonathan Karl is someone who, well, works his propagandist ways like ABC does and many other networks and many other correspondents. But Tom Cotton stopped him this time, and I think you should see it here on the Wells Report.
The Democratic Party under Kamala Harris has gone so far to the left that you actually had a Kennedy endorse a Republican. That's pretty remarkable that the Democratic Party has become so radical under Kamala Harris that a member of the Kennedy family has come out to endorse a Republican.
I don't know if Bobby Kennedy Jr. at this point is that representative of the Kennedy family, but I want to get to that in a second. But first, there are reports. There's obviously a bit of a momentum change here. You see it in the polls. You see it in the money flowing in to the Harris campaign. And there was a report in Politico that Trump now knows that he has to change things up or that he could lose. You talk to him. I mean, what's your sense? Do you need a change in direction?
Well, President Trump and his campaign has known all along, and they've said all along, that this race is going to be a close race.
Actually, he said it would be a landslide, just to be clear. He said he was going to win in a landslide.
But look, we know the race will probably come down to a few 100,000 votes in a few states. President Trump has been campaigning hard and vigorously now for months. Obviously, that's going to increase in its pace as we get closer to the election. And President Trump is going to draw a sharp contrast with Kamala Harris, who has supported things like decriminalizing illegal immigration or giving taxpayer-funded health insurance to illegal aliens or taking away health insurance on the job for 170 million Americans, banning gas cars, confiscating firearms.
What do you mean taking away health insurance? What are you talking about?
She said when she ran for president that she wants to eliminate private health insurance on the job, 170 million Americans, John.
Yeah, I mean that is not her position now.
How do you know that's not her position? How do you know that's not her position?
I mean, she says she no longer supports Medicare for all.
She has not said that. Maybe anonymous aides on a Friday night have said that, but the last thing that she said on
this was not a radical convention. I mean, she as you heard me go through with Bernie Sanders, she is not taking the positions of the far left of her party. She's clearly making an effort to move to the middle.
I did hear what you said to Senator Sanders, and I thought it was clear that he's very disappointed that she's taking these efforts not to change her positions, but to hide her positions, John. The American people are totally justified to conclude that Kamala Harris is a dangerous San Francisco liberal based on what she campaigned on the last time she ran for president and what this administration has done for the last 4 years. Again, you would have thought watching the Democratic convention last week that the Democrats are not in office, that they're not in power, that they're campaigning against an incumbent Republican, when in reality, she's been part of the failures of the Biden-Harris administration for 4 years. And when she campaigned for president in her own right, she did in fact promise things like decriminalizing illegal immigration and taking away health insurance.
But that's his position she's clearly changed on, and
No,
she
she
has said
hasn't.
she has changed. Yes, she has.
No, she has not. John, she has not said that. She's not. You pointed out, Senator Sanders, repeatedly things that her campaign has said. Anonymous aides speaking on background to reporters has said, well, she no longer believes these things. Okay, maybe she has changed her position on things like taking away your health insurance and confiscating your gun. If she has changed her position, she owes it to the American people to come out and say in her own words when she changed and why she changed. That's one reason why she needs to address the American people and speak to these questions, because the only basis they have to conclude what she will be like as president is what she's done for 4 years in this administration and what she said in her own voice in the last campaign. Remember, these are not like college essays, John. This is what she said when she was campaigning for president as a 54-year-old woman. If she's had such a radical change of heart in the last 5 years, she owes the American people answers.
Yeah, she does. And it's interesting to see the sitting senator from Arkansas lecturing Jonathan Karl of ABC News, who's not a terrible reporter, but is somebody who is, once again, caught up in the system that extols the virtues of leftism while pretending to be a news guy. It's interesting to hear that lecture on the part of Tom Cotton to Jonathan Karl, because he's right. He's absolutely right. We, the people of the United States, must know exactly what we're voting for. Now, at the end of all of that, at the end of all of this recalibration of what Kamala Harris's positions are, those must be taken as the facts. And people must vote their conscience after those facts are out there. But the idea of not putting those facts out there, the idea of not having still a plain policy page on her website, well, that's not the way you win a presidency. Now, it may work. There may be enough people out there that said, well, time for a woman to be the president of the United States. There may be enough people. It worked with Barack Obama. Americans across this land, 69 million of them the first time, elected Barack Obama. Not just because of that, but certainly that was a major factor. Will that work when we're now looking at a female as opposed to someone who was black, African American? In a lot of ways, I agreed with the American people when they elected Barack Obama. I was amazed that they elected him twice, but then again, the president did a good job for those people who voted for him. Did he do things that drove me nuts? Sure. Every president does. Donald Trump did. George W. Bush did. Everybody does. But at least we knew where they stood. Do we know where Kamala Harris stands? Can we make a decision not knowing where she stands? Will we buy a presidency in a poke? I certainly hope not. Besides, I'm really interested, as an American, into how Kamala Harris is going to deal with all this. And I think we should know. Don't you? Come on. Let's find out what's going on. Let's get this on the record so we can make a real decision. I know at the outset of all of this that I'm not going to agree with a lot of those policy positions. But that doesn't mean I don't want to hear them. And it doesn't mean, certainly in a professional way, I don't want to report them. I certainly do. Because this show's about truth, whatever it is, warts and all.
Vallarta.
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to Low Cost Airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Thanks very much for being a part of our broadcast. Just because somebody disagrees doesn't mean you have to be, a self-appointed, how should we say it, enemy for life of those people. It happens. It's unfortunate. It's part of the division of the United States. But there's a guy out there who impresses me almost every day, even though I disagree. But I'm always willing to hear what he has to say. That guy is Charlemagne the God. I have a little trouble with the name of that he's chosen to represent himself. I wish he'd just call himself Charlemagne, especially considering the historic reference. But that being said, radio host Charlemagne the God scolded a rapper who claimed that Vice President Harris does not owe black voters an explanation of her policy, saying was absolutely wrong to tell black people to settle for the Democrat candidate. This being reported by Fox News. I don't understand Plies or any black person for that matter telling black people to just settle, just accept whatever the candidate is giving you. Don't ask questions, just vote. They don't have to explain anything to us. No, said Charlemagne on the Monday edition of The Breakfast Club. Charlemagne was responding to a profanity-laced rant, as the rapper known as Plies posted online on Sunday about black men supporting former President Trump in the election. Plies slammed these voters for criticizing Harris's record in office and argued that Harris didn't need to answer questions about her policies. Stop asking a black woman to explain herself to you or explain theirself to y'all, said the rapper. Y'all cool with the white man not explaining himself, he continued, appearing to reference Donald Trump. Plies is absolutely, positively wrong, said Charlemagne, responding on his podcast and radio show the next day. If people are asking questions, that's great. It is. It is. I don't know why Plies is making this a black woman versus black men thing. This isn't about black men and black women. It's about elected officials and potential voters. The whole point of the campaign season for candidates is to go out there and explain to the American people why they should be the one in charge of this country. Votes are earned, not given. And they are earned by you going out there and explaining yourself. The vice president has faced criticism for avoiding the press since she launched her presidential campaign. She's not done any sit-down interviews or held a formal press conference in the past 36 days. There are only like 72 days left before the election. What is she waiting for? Charlemagne argued that Harris is under more scrutiny about her policies because she became the Democrat nominee so late in the election cycle and because she's running for the highest office in the country. Quote, by the way, she knows that. This isn't the vice president's first rodeo, he said, explaining her record as attorney general and a senator. Plies is 1 billion% wrong. Answering questions to the voters is, quote, the whole point of campaigning, unquote. During the Democrat National Convention last week, Charlemagne defended Harris for avoiding the press for now, arguing that she was on the ground meeting voters and that she'd get to interviews by the end of the month. I think what she's been doing has worked because, she's been doing is hitting the ground. She'll get to interviews after the DNC, but this week I think she's got bigger fish to fry, like going out there tomorrow and knocking a home run speech out of the park. Other media figures have celebrated Harris's strategy, not taking interviews. Last week, several pundits and news anchors from CNN and CBS floated the idea that Harris could rely on Democrat enthusiasm to win over voters rather than lay out detailed policies. Do you agree? Is that all she needs to do? Joy, happiness, enthusiasm. Kamala. What are her policies? I don't care. There used to be there was a movie and then a brief television series called The Stepford Wives, where these women were created essentially to do the bidding of whatever the man in the house wanted. Are we looking at the Stepford Lives here? Are these people surrendering their lives to somebody to be the president of the United States without knowing what she plans to do with those lives? Is that really where we are? Are there voters that plan to vote on Kamala Harris as the president of the United States that are indeed Stepford Lives? Everybody brings up The Handmaid's Tale when they talk about President Trump. But these are equally bad. The Stepford Lives. They just do what they're told. Really? Why? I mean, we're not asking for much. I am very, very interested in what Kamala Harris is going to say. And I sure don't think that those answers should be broken out in front of the entire world in a debate without hearing about them first and giving her a chance to at least refine what she says, if she can. Gosh, John David, it sounds like you're giving the Harris campaign some advice. What, do you want her to win? No, I mean, I don't care whether she wins or not. I want to know what she thinks. I want to know what the actual facts are surrounding her campaign. That's what I want to know. And the reason I want to know is so I can tell you. The election's going to be decided in the privacy of a voting booth. I know that that's how I'm going to decide my part of this election. I'm not going to come out for either candidate. I may talk about it after I've voted, but I won't be talking about it before. I'll just be presenting the news for both candidates fairly on the Wells Report. By the way, thanks very much for being with us. Make sure that you subscribe to this broadcast, share it with your friends, light the notification bell, and give us those thumbs ups. It sure would help us out. Back with hour number 2 in just a moment.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship.
Call 877-655-6870. That's 877-655-6870. 877-655-6870.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. On this broadcast, we report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We do make commentary. Commentary is not news. Commentary is opinion, yours and mine, equally valuable on this broadcast. So by all means, share yours. Let's find the truth together, you and me. Let's debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. And yeah, we de-propagandize the mainstream media because somebody needs to, because we're not getting the story, are we? And that is exactly what Donald Trump was speaking about with Dr. Phil on interviews that will be put out, today. Dr. Phil shared a preview clip of his interview with the former president. That happened yesterday on X, noting that media outlets can be outright hostile to Trump's reputation. They demonize you a lot, Dr. Phil observed in the preview clip. They make a big deal out of the fact that you said you're only going to have to vote one time you elect me. You're only going to have to vote one more time. Well, that was turned into, my God, he wants to take over the country forever. He wants to be Vladimir Putin. Oh, my God. No, that's the media. They also, on this interview, touched on lawfare. And this was part of that conversation on Dr. Phil, brought to you by Merritt Street, which is where Dr. Phil is doing his broadcast. Check this out.
I wanted to, and I know that there was some news coming out of Georgia today, there was some news coming out of Florida today, that they're stepping back from this. And
very good news.
I called for the other day, and I don't know if you saw it, but on Merritt Street Media, where I now do my show, I called for President Biden to stop all of this now. And of course, a lot of people said, oh, he can't stop it. It's a state case. Well, okay, that's an explanation for stupid people. But for people that understand how this works behind the scenes and all, I say the same thing. They need to stop this. They need to stop pursuing you. Since you started your campaign in 2015 to run for office, there have been so many attempts to get you off the board even before you started your campaign. Then once you were in office, 2 impeachment opportunities, they changed the rules to try to make it high crimes and misdemeanors if there were business conflicts, and in this case,
never ends.
It seems to be never ending, and that is a distraction to you. And I really wonder how that affects you. What do you say to yourself about that? Because it seems to never be ending.
It's a never-ending thing. There's a term that I know you've heard many times. It's called Trump derangement syndrome, and nobody's ever seen anything like it. In one way, we drive them totally crazy because we're doing the right thing. You wonder, why would somebody want to have open borders where people are coming in from jails, prisons, where they're coming in from mental institutions, and as you know better than anyone else, they're coming in, they're releasing the people all over the world, not just South America, from mental institutions and jails and prisons, and they're terrorists coming in by the thousands. They're pouring into our country. And who would allow this? You know, it's common sense, not a conservative thing. If they would devote that same skill and talent to making America great again, it would really be a wonderful thing. But in the meantime, we're beating them. You know, you mentioned I got impeached twice, and I won twice very easily, very quickly. We had great support from the Republican Party. I have all these cases. All my life, I didn't have any problem. And all of a sudden, within a matter of months, I end up with 4 cases. Now, of course, it's from the White House and the Department of Justice, they totally control the state case. In fact, I'm not allowed to even be talking about certain aspects of it because I have a gag order. Think of it. I'm the Republican nominee. I was the president, and I'm leading the current Democrat by a lot. And I have a gag order from a local judge that was appointed by the Democrat Party. A local judge. He's a local person. And he is appointed, and he put a gag order on me. Nobody's ever seen anything like it.
While you're campaigning.
While I'm campaigning, like you just mentioned a question that I'm not allowed to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, it's a campaign issue, but he can't talk about it because of this local judge. Really? Really? Yeah, really. And that's just part of the interview. By the way, also, Dr. Phil talked to RFK Jr. And when you get back to the circumstance where Dr. Phil brings up, hey, you know, they think you're going to be a dictator on day one. Some commentators portrayed this as a statement that if he ever is elected again, there will be no more elections because he'll never give up power. But Trump gave more context, arguing it's completely accurate. Here's what he said, and I quote, I said to the Christians, we've got to win this election. If we win this election, I'll straighten everything out in less than 4 years by a lot. Then you don't have to. It doesn't matter. In other words, I'm saying you don't have to vote. It doesn't mean we're not going to have elections. You're going to have elections, but you have to vote this time because we have to win. This is the most important election in the history of our country, Dr. Phil confirmed. So you didn't mean vote me in once because I ain't ever leaving. You're meaning this was an important one vote this time. Of course, that's what I meant, said Trump. And I said it. Everybody knows I said it that way, and everybody agrees I said it in that way. Well, it's probably true, but it wasn't a precise statement, Mr. President. Donald Trump needs to be more clear. He needs to be straightforward in his statements. Instead of essentially, riffing on all these points, because he does provide ammunition to his political enemies, and those political enemies include the mainstream media. And he keeps doing it over and over and over. And then he has to clean up. And that's exactly what part of this interview was. So let's continue with this article from Fox News, biased. Trump brought up another quote that he said has been taken out of context as well. The former president turned some heads in a town hall discussion on Fox News Hannity last December when he quipped that he would be a dictator for a single day if reelected because I want to close the borders and I want to drill, drill, drill. After that, I'm not a dictator. I saw that interview, and that's exactly what he said. Trump recalled the statement to Dr. Phil, and I said jokingly on Sean Hannity, he's a great guy. I said, no, Sean, I want to be a dictator for one day because I'm going to get going with drill, baby, drill, and I'm going to strengthen the border to a level that you've never seen. I only want to be, and after that, I'll never be a dictator. Once again, another one of those imprecise statements that provide grist for the anti-Trump, or in this conversation, the Trump derangement syndrome-driven press. Mr. President, you have to be more careful with your statements. You have to be more careful with your statements. And you can be. You know, Donald Trump has a fine mind, and he can certainly use it to his benefit. And a lot of times he does things that are self-inflicted wounds. And I really wish he'd stop. But then again, this is his campaign. He doesn't have to do anything that I think, but I sure wish he would sometimes. I do. Not because, let me get back here, not because I'm supporting Donald Trump. What I'm supporting is precise statements by both candidates on the issues that matter, as opposed to all of this fluff and the fragments that I talk about. These political grenades that cause these fragments. And somebody gets hit by one, and that's the news. And the media is not going back and actually redefining a factual understanding of both of these candidates. And that's what I'm after. That's what I want to report on this broadcast. And so he summarized, President Trump, his past comments in a nutshell, saying that while he and his audience mutually understood those things to be humorous, the media took it out of context. No, Mr. President. They took it as an opportunity to beat you over the head with your own words. And it happens all the time. you think you might have figured this out by now, and you may want to be a little more careful about how you say things. Now, these statements that he's still being haunted by are in the past, but they are still there, and they are still dramatically unfortunate. Speaking of dramatically unfortunate, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s sister, Carrie Kennedy, disavowed her brother in an interview with MSNBC's Joy Reid. Quote, "Personally, I completely disavow and separate and disassociate myself from my brother, Bobby Kennedy, and his flagrant and inexplicable effort to desecrate and trample and set fire to Daddy's memory." She's speaking of Robert F. Kennedy Sr. She said that in an interview on her brother's choice to endorse former President Donald Trump. "I love Bobby and have tremendous respect for the work that he's done in the past. But on this, he's wrong. On this, it's really important for people to understand the Kennedy family endorses Kamala Harris." I saw an X post yesterday that had John Kennedy, RFK, Robert F. Kennedy Sr., and Teddy Kennedy saying they all support Kamala Harris. Do they really? First of all, they're all gone. And yes, Teddy Kennedy was it's hard for me to come up with another term, virulent liberal. But Bobby Kennedy and John Kennedy were of different cloth. And I have to say that RFK Jr. is someone who remembers what a real Democrat looks like, talks like, and how they handle their side of the political spectrum. There are plenty of Democrats out there, I call them real Democrats, that look at what the Democrat Party is doing up to and including essentially anointing Kamala Harris as their nominee without a single primary vote being cast for her. And that is antithetical to what they always preach. That is a genuine threat to democracy when you disavow the democracy that gave Joe Biden 14 million votes. Yeah, he's past tense. Yeah, he's gone. And now we have a new candidate. Well, by all means, do what you think is right. But without a primary, without an interview, they're going to debate, from what we understand. I hope so. But what's that going to look like? You don't get to stand on a debate stage with notes, Vice President Harris. You're going to have to speak your truth, as was referenced by Michelle Obama during the DNC speech that she gave. And that truth is what we need. And I really don't care what those truths happen to be. Share them. Share them in place. You have beliefs, VP Harris. You do. And you have spoken about them in different circumstances. Now you're running for president of the United States. And you're running away from those previous statements. That isn't going to work. That just is not going to work. It's not going to function. And why she believes it will, I don't know. I just don't know. And by the way, things like this really aren't going to work for her. I just don't see that this actually advances the ball. She put this out, and I think I have time to play it, so I will. So let me do this right now. She put this out on X, and I don't think this helps her campaign one little bit.
Why not debate her? No way. But because they already know everything. They say, oh, Trump's, not doing the debate. That's the same thing they say now. I mean, right now I say, why should I do a debate? I'm leading in the polls. And everybody knows her. Everybody knows me. But when I looked at the hostility of that, I said, why am I doing it? Let's do it with another network.
Yeah. So does that help? Does that advance her issues? Or is that something that people can laugh at in an uneasy way? Because surely that's got to be the case. VP Harris, time to run for president. I can hardly wait to hear what you have to say. Good luck on all of it, and I'll be waiting patiently.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. John David Wells at your service. Looking at the chat room, Yvonne says, I think RFK Jr. is honoring his uncle, JFK, more than any of his other family members. It genuinely hurt me to hear the fight between brother and sister, the schism in the Kennedy family, when RFK made his decision to be American rather than Democrat. It's sad to see people drawing lines politically when friendship and even family are concerned. I will be perfectly honest with you when I say that I have lost friends. And yeah, I am at odds with many members of my family over Donald Trump. The thing about it is that I'm not supporting Donald Trump. I'm supporting America. And which of these candidates, you decide for yourself, which of these candidates is more fitting of what we know of America and the founding constitutions and other documents that built this nation. Which of those two people do you believe is a better representative of America instead of being a better representative of their party? I regret losing friendships. I regret the tension in my family members when I'm around. They think I'm a Trump guy. No, I'm an American. And I'll vote for the most American candidate because that's what this country needs. Who is that? You tell me. 817-379, and tell me why. 817-379-2172. Let's see, Harris is trying to make new debate rules. That's because she wants Trump to back out, or she doesn't have to, maybe. Eddie says that Trump speaks in the language of a businessman, not a politician. Right. But he's in a political fight. And that's something that is not without merit. You got to do some of the things that make people win elections. You just have to do that. And then Yvonne says regarding RFK Jr. that takes a lot of backbone to go against what your family wants on a principle that you believe in. Yep, it sure does. People like that take the arrows, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. For years, Native Americans, specifically the Lumbee tribe, voted Democrat. Robeson County is a rural minority county in the southern battleground state of North Carolina, which is home to the largest Native American tribe east of the Mississippi, the Lumbee, who account for 42% of the county's population. For many years, leaning toward a blue vote was considered part of their culture, but in 2016 and 2020, Robeson County voted for Donald Trump. The shift is notable because Native voters, by and large, are very Democrat in their makeup when it comes to politics. They are very progressive voters. This, according to Jordan James Harville, a member of the Cherokee Nation, descendant of the Choctaw Nation and National Program Director for Advanced Native Political Leadership. That's reflected in the voter registration records. The county's largest voter bloc among both Native American voters and all registered voters is Democrat. But Robeson County's shift from voting blue to red is not a national outlier. This, by the way, is from USA Today. The American Communities Project, which breaks down counties by census data and categories Robeson as Native American land, a category that includes counties with large Native American populations, found that President Donald Trump won these counties by about 7 percentage points in 2020, flipping Barack Obama's 3-point win in 2012. Earning the Native American vote, though not a homogeneous bloc, has the potential to tip the scales of some close races. And if Vice President Kamala Harris, now the presumptive Democrat presidential nominee, wants to flip this county back to blue, according to Harville, she'll need their votes. I think that's overwhelmingly Native communities are going to be still a very decisive voting bloc in the election, if not decide the election entirely in places like Arizona, Oklahoma, and North Carolina. He might be right. He might be right. People say this is going to be a close election. I'm not exactly sure. Remember that President Biden won the 2020 election by some, I guess it was 7 million votes. 7 million votes. This is the Wells Report. Back in just a moment.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Oops. I hit the wrong button. Yeah. So we got 20 seconds. Let's go to the chat room real fast, and then the music will start, and then we'll get back to business. Let's see. Okay. I'm an outsider in my world. That doesn't stop people from seeking my counsel, says Eddie. Why does Harris want a hot microphone so she can interrupt Trump when he speaks? No. She wants Trump to interrupt her when she speaks. That's what he wants. That's what she wants, by the way. Sorry about that dead air. This happens. But you did get to see my radio. And all my awards. And my cool little Tiffany lamp. Yeah. I got a cool studio, don't I? I really do. And you got to see my 24-hour clock. I like that clock. This is the Wells Report, news analysis, commentary, and debate, and occasionally mistakes. Oops. That happens from time to time. Let's move on. This was reported by all the major news sources. A hostage taken by Hamas-led militants during the October 7th rampage into Israel was rescued following a complex rescue operation in southern Gaza. This according to the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, speaking today. Excuse me. Military spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari said that Qaid Farhan al-Qadi's medical condition was normal, good, Video released by the military shows al-Qadi smiling and laughing with soldiers after his rescue and later with his family and medical personnel at an Israeli hospital. Hagari said that al-Qadi, a member of the Israeli Arab Bedouin minority, was rescued from an underground tunnel in Marat thanks to extensive intelligence on the location. The Hostages and Missing Families Forum said al-Qadi, who's 52, was able to free himself, but Hagari said troops rescued Farhan from the underground. He met with our forces underground. More than 200 people were taken hostage during the Hamas-led attack, and more than 100 of them remain in militant hands, though many are believed to be dead. The forum, which has frequently criticized the Israeli government for failing to reach an agreement to free the captives, said in a statement it welcomed the rescue, but that a deal remains necessary to secure the release of the remaining hostages. Some of those hostages are Americans. We haven't heard anything from the Biden administration, now known as the Harris-Biden administration by the mainstream media, or at least the biased right side of the mainstream media. But the fact remains, there are Americans there, and we have yet another Democrat president that seems to have trouble getting hostages out of countries, although being able to work with Vladimir Putin and the Russian government to get Americans out of custody of the Russian government was good. But there are two questions here. Why hasn't there been exquisite pressure applied to Hamas to release those American hostages? Why? Why has America done everything they can to make sure that the so-called innocent Palestinians, I disagree that there are any of them, but that's just me, we keep supporting them with food and many other things? Why does that happen when they hold American hostages? Why hasn't it been made plain that we're not going to help Hamas or the people of Gaza in any way, shape, or form until we get our hostages back? Why is that? And then there's another question. What will President Biden do if, perish the thought, that Hamas terrorists have killed some of these Americans, or all of them? What will he do then? Have you thought about that? Have you thought about either of those 2 points? I think about it all the time. I'm really having a problem with this. And when you consider that Hamas is an extension of Iran, who took American hostages and kept them for over 400 days, during the Carter administration, by the way, released when President Reagan was elected, before he could take office. When we think about those two things in parallel or in combination, it tells you something about Democrat presidents, apparently. But let's remember, President Biden did indeed help arrange the release of Americans held in Russia. But why not Americans held by Hamas? Why? We have the leverage. Why didn't we use it? And what will this president do if some of those hostages come up dead? That remains to be seen. I know what I would do. I do. And I've said so. There are 4,000 Marines within close proximity of the Gaza Strip. You pick up the phone, you call Bibi Netanyahu, you say, hey, the Marines are coming ashore. Then you pick up the phone and you call whoever's running Hamas and you say, hey, the Marines are coming ashore. If you attack them, we will obliterate you. You can meet us on the beach with American hostages and they'll just get back on a boat. But if they're dead, well, what's going to happen next? And something tells me that Hamas intransigence to come up with some sort of peace deal means that a lot of these hostages are dead. And how did they die? That's going to be awful. Getting back to the story from USA Today, More than 200 people taken hostages during the Hamas-led attack, and more than 100 of them remain in militant hands. The forum, which has frequently criticized, and basically what I'm talking about here is the hold on. That's military spokesperson. Oh, there we go. The Hostages and Missing Families Forum. Okay, that's who we're talking about here. The forum, which has frequently criticized the Israeli government for failing to reach an agreement to free the captives, said in a statement that it welcomed the rescue, but that a deal remains necessary. The wonderful news of this return is the sign of light amongst the darkness for the families of the hostages and the people of Israel. A deal is the only way to secure the return of the remaining 108 hostages, the living for rehabilitation, and the murdered for proper burial. Other developments. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke with al-Qadi via phone, telling him the whole nation of Israel is excited by his rescue. Israeli President Itzhak Herzog said the rescue was, quote, a moment of joy for the state of Israel and Israeli society as a whole. Negotiations for a ceasefire in Gaza that would include the release of some or all of the remaining hostages are underway in Cairo, Egypt. And yes, what is stopping all this? It's not Israel. It's not the United States. It's Hamas. And Hamas knows they have a problem because many of these hostages are dead. And all they can do is try to disappear the bodies to find out how they died. And so, will there ever be a closure for these families under these unfortunate, horrifying, tragic, and crimes against humanity contexts? Don't know. Who is this guy? He's a member of the Israeli Arab Bedouin minority and was one of 6 Bedouins seized by Hamas that day. He lives with his family in an unincorporated village south of Rahatwas. This according to the Israeli media. He has 2 wives and 11 children. His brother Hathem told Ynet News that al-Qadi lost weight but appears to be healthy. He's the 8th hostage to be rescued alive from the Gaza Strip since the beginning of the war. We are happy we saw him alive first and foremost. He asked about his family, if his kids were okay and his mom was okay. Israel's Channel 12 showed al-Qadi's family members sprinting through the hospital where he was brought after they received the news. Then there's this. It's not like the Gaza Strip is this enclave of starving people or people that are living without medical care. UNICEF said it hopes to begin administering polio vaccines to children in Gaza over the weekend if the situation on the ground permits. Over 640,000 kids are being targeted for the vaccine. 1.2 million doses arrived in the enclave this week, according to the agency. UNRWA Chief Philippe Lazzarini said yesterday that UN agencies and partners stand ready to vaccinate children, but urged the warring parties to commit to a humanitarian pause so the effort could be conducted safely. Well, you got to talk to Hamas on that. Pretty sure that the Israelis would help out. A case of polio was confirmed in Gaza last week in a 10-month-old child who was in stable condition after developing paralysis in the lower left leg, said UNICEF. It was the first instance of the lifelong crippling disease in over 25 years. Though there is no cure, vaccines against the disease can provide protection for life. Hamas urges West Bank Palestinians to escalate confrontations. And this is something that I've pointed out on several different occasions. If you are trying to get a ceasefire, you have to turn over the hostages in whatever condition they are. And you have to stop agitating for more war. But Hamas just doesn't feel that way. They don't think that that's important. If it's not important to Hamas and Palestinians are being killed, who's killing the Palestinians? The Israelis? Or is it Hamas? You tell me. 817-379-2172. Hamas leaders today urged Palestinians living in the West Bank to escalate tensions with Israeli settlers following the killing of an Arab man in the Arab-occupied Palestinian territory. Hamas pressed Palestinians to rally at the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem and call for a day of anger and mobilization in the West Bank. We also call on our valiant resistance and our revolutionary youth in the occupied West Bank to escalate their confrontations with the criminal enemy and its settler gangs. That is not helping. And once again, you have to decide for yourself what you believe these Hamas terrorists / governors of Palestinians, at least in Gaza, really have in mind. I have come to my conclusions. Hamas exists to use the Palestinian people as instruments of destruction of the nearest Jew they can find. And the Palestinian people have absolutely supported Hamas, which, in case you're confused about whether I say the so-called innocent Palestinian population, I don't think there is one. And so my typical humanitarian worry, angst, upset over people who are indeed innocent civilians caught in a war zone is at least moderated by the fact that their government is their government, one that they have supported for over a decade, nearly 2. This is what happens. If you support a terror organization as your governance, then sooner or later, you're going to pay the price for the terror that ensues against that particular governance's enemy. And in this case, they're the Jews. This is not something that is negotiable. You cannot, and they have, perpetrate terror attacks on Israel and Israelis during peace negotiations. You can't do that. When you combine that particular activity with the fact that they are being intransigent during these peace talks, indeed not even sending people to take part in them, you again have to wonder just exactly what are their motivations. Their motivations are rapidly winnowing away in the face of reality. And people around the world are beginning to realize it. And they're saying these people are what Donald Rumsfeld, the former Defense Secretary of the United States, said were dead enders. These people will do whatever it is they can in their sociopathic need to kill Jews. That's it. Okay, well, that's why there is no ceasefire. And all these people calling for a ceasefire under humanitarian reasons are not actual people that are connected with what they're seeing right in front of their face. That's what I see. How about you? 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. Sure would like to hear what you have to say. Especially those people that would do anything they can, up to and including Kamala Harris. We must need a ceasefire. We must need a ceasefire. Well, the other side gets a vote. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with the fact that 5 Americans are being held by Hamas and we don't know if they're even alive? How are you going to deal with Americans coming home dead after being Hamas hostages? What are you going to do there? This is tough questions. And they are tough questions for a reason. Because this has been going on nearly a year. And we haven't heard from our American hostages. And none of those hostages have heard from the United States government, at least as far as I know. Dry mouth. I'm waiting for all of these answers to make themselves plain. And I am hopeful that we get those people back as quickly as we possibly can. And I am perplexed as to why we don't have them already. This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Our telephone number 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. Back in just a moment.
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Our telephone number 817-379-2172. Speaking of people who have been forgotten, I know that's a harsh term, but forgotten by the Biden administration. We talk about the 13 people losing their lives at the Abbey Gate in Afghanistan during what everyone calls a botched withdrawal from that country. And there are a lot of people that were dramatically affected by that, up to and including Gold Star families. Yesterday, President Trump laid a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknowns in the name of those 13 families. Speaker Mike Johnson will award those families the Congressional Gold Medal. This is what Tulsi Gabbard had to say. She was there at the wreath laying, and she was on Fox News yesterday. Check this out.
Tulsi, you were there today along with President Trump. How important was it for him to be there today?
You know, one thing that ran through my mind as I was there, joining President Trump and honoring the ultimate sacrifice that these 13 service members paid, sharing the sorrow that these Gold Star families still feel and will always feel at the loss of their loved ones. Meanwhile, where is Kamala Harris? Where is Joe Biden? Well, Joe Biden's on vacation, and Kamala Harris is running a campaign based on joy and vibes and laughing her way around. I can tell you who wasn't laughing were those families, some of the survivors of that attack in this disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal. This is personal for me, Judge, and so many other Americans who know firsthand the cost of war. We've seen and experienced it firsthand. We know how important it is to have a commander-in-chief who values every single one of our lives and who has the strength and the courage to exercise all means of diplomacy, meeting with dictators, allies, adversaries, partners in the pursuit of peace, recognizing that war is always and should always be a last resort. I endorse President Trump today because he has those qualities and he's proven that he is that commander-in-chief. Kamala Harris has proven she is not. We're closer to the brink of nuclear war now than ever before, closer to World War III because of Harris and Biden and their policies.
All right, so that's what Tulsi Gabbard said yesterday. But there are other comments that you need to see. And those come from a mom who lost her son. And this is what she had to say regarding how the government of the United States has worked with her on more details about how her son died and under what reasons he did.
This administration
Army Sergeant Ryan Knauss was one of—
Hold on. Dagnabbit. I got to get rid of this first. Then I can do this. And then I can do this. I got to move this back to the front. And now I can hit the go button and you can see what I'm doing. Ish.
Army Sergeant Ryan Knauss was one of those killed in the attack, and his mother, Paula Knauss, joins us now. Paula, I thought of you while every moment of that was playing. I can't imagine how hard it is to hear all of that. First and foremost, for us and for our viewers who know that your son paid the ultimate sacrifice and how much you're all still grieving, how are you doing today? And what is your message on this day?
Well, I wanted to be here this morning in Fayetteville with a lot of his brothers and sisters in arms to pay tribute to him with the TPT 9000 memorial workout. We do it each year. And I was very aware that the president would be up at Arlington, and I did receive a call from him after we finished our workout. And I'm very grateful for what he did on contribution toward the 3 that are up there out of the 13.
I wanted to ask you about Speaker Johnson announcing the congressional gold medals for those families who lost loved ones in this chaotic withdrawal. And what does that mean to you, and what does that mean to your family?
It brings honor to our family, brings honor to the 13 families, brings honor to our nation that we will not forget. And on this day in particular, we are all grieving over something that should have never, ever happened the way it did.
Yeah, we hear you, Paula. This is just some of the Gold Star parents, and I know so many of you have grown close over the years or at least stay in touch. This is some of what we've heard from some of the other Gold Star parents here on Fox News Channel, some from today and some over the weekend.
We know we can't bring our kids back, but what we want to see is the military that is out in the field right now. Those families are never going to be put through what we've been put through.
There's a long list of people that need to stand up and say, we screwed up and apologize to us, apologize to the American people for what took place. The 2 main players are Biden himself and Harris, who said she was the last one in the room.
When it comes to President Biden, when it comes to this administration, who obviously made all of the decisions involved here, where are you with that? And in terms of accountability, what questions do you have and what more do you want to happen?
Well, obviously it is accountability. It's the lack of accountability that has really upset the nation on this. It is the lack of empathy and sympathy for a situation that could have easily been at least say, I'm sorry, at least apologize for lack of leadership.
Yeah. Yeah. And there is another set of families that are suffering the similar lack of accountability, lack of transparency, lack of truth. Those are the American hostages held by Hamas. And what will be done about those folks? While it's a wonderful gesture, what are we going to do? Hand them congressional gold medals? After Hamas grabbed their family members for degenerate reasons because they happened to be in the way of their Jew-killing spree on October 7th? Yeah. Well, there you go. And so, that has been today's edition of the Wells Report. Thanks very much for paying attention to it. I certainly appreciate it. Tomorrow, we'll do it again. What time? Watch Facebook and X, and I will be telling you exactly what time the broadcast will begin in very short order. God bless you and yours, and we'll see you again for another edition of the Wells Report.